Hey gardeners, I'm sitting here with Stephen Hood from Naturally North Farms, and we're just going to do a little interview today. So take it away. This is all about you.
Thanks for having me, Win. I really appreciate the opportunity to come onto your channel. It's great to see everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for checking it out. As Win mentioned, my name's Stephen Hood. I'm an urban gardener from Barrie, Ontario. I started gardening this past year, actually, and I kind of just tucked my arms behind my back and dove in head first into cultivation. I did about 450 plants from seed. And out of a necessity and in an attempt to not waste all of my peppers, I decided to start up a company and process these peppers into something great.
Beautiful, delicious hot sauces.
Hopefully they're delicious. We got a couple of other fun things as well.
Just so you know, beautiful packaging. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So, what really got you started growing hot peppers?
That one I blame on my good friend Kyle. He invited me over to his house, and unbeknownst to me, he had plans to make a hot sauce. I tried that hot sauce, and it was love at first taste. It was the best hot sauce I'd ever tried. It was just a simple Louisiana sauce, but absolutely unrivaled by any other sauce I had tried before that. And that prompted a garden tour. So I went out to his garden, he showed me all of his beautiful plants, and I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing. You made sauce from your own peppers from your own garden. That's when all the questions started to flow. How did you start? What is your soil? Is it hard? How long do you have to devote to this? And so on and so forth.
So when do you start seeds?
Yeah, that's another big one. So I've found that personally for me, Valentine's Day is the best day to start seeds. I think that it's the perfect time for pepper plants to reach their maturity for people who don't necessarily have the space. Personally, I do have some space. I have a grow tent in my basement, so I actually start them January 20th, somewhere around there. But I would recommend most people start them anytime after Valentine's Day.
Not bad. Start them with a little bit of love.
A little bit of love.
That's what gardening's all about. Just don't love it to death.
There is such thing as too much love, yes.
Usually in the form of sulfates and water. So why hot peppers and why so many different varieties? And have you had any cross-pollination effects with that?
Very good question. So, hot peppers, I find that they are the perfect blend between peace and tranquility as you're growing them and learning about yourself and learning about nature and how we connect with it, to pain and endorphins when you take that first bite of your super hot pepper that you've grown. Coming from the adventure industry, I certainly missed that endorphin rush. I wasn't getting it as much anymore, and peppers certainly filled that void. The reason for the incredible number of varieties, a little trial and error. If I'm going to use these things to cook, I need to understand their flavor profiles and their consistencies and what their best uses are. So some peppers have thin sidewalls. They're really good for dehydrating. They are really nice for making powders. Some have thicker sidewalls, and they're maybe better for sauce making and bumping up that volume. Some have incredible flavors, and some of them have incredible heat and taste kind of like gasoline. So you got to kind of play them off of each other. When you really want to kick up that heat a little bit, you add a little bit of a super hot, but you want to keep the flavor profile in there, so you throw in a nice tasty pepper. So once I grew out 127 different cultivars and tried them all out, I had a bit of an idea as to which ones that I liked and which ones I didn't. So I kicked it down to 79 varieties this season, 69 of which have intentional uses already planned for them, and 10 of them are experimental. So those would be those hybrids that you're talking about. I have some really unique, they're called mutant candlelight filiforms. And so they, yeah, so they have a
sound.
very narrow, shaggy looking leaf to them. Yeah, and they're very compact at first, but once their root system reaches the edge of the pot, they explode upwards.
Ooh.
And they produce these tiny, tiny little pods, but I have many different hybrid versions of these, and some of them are hybridized with variegatas, with purples, with all sorts of creams and beautiful colors. And those ones, I'm not necessarily doing them for flavor more so than I'm more so doing them for aesthetic than I am for flavor. But I had to test all these things out until I got to the point where I am now, and now I have an intent for 69 of the varieties for culinary uses, and they're focused based on their strengths.
Cool. That's my pepper experience is very, very minimal. Like last year was actually the first time where we had 4 or 5 different types of peppers.
Very cool.
The most that we actually harvested out of it was a little jar this big of Locos.
Okay.
Yeah, just preserved, just pickled. We haven't opened it yet. I'm kind of afraid to.
Oh, pickled peppers are fantastic. You throw them just on toast, on crackers, whatever you want.
But these were so hot, and they're only about this big and deep purple.
Well, luckily the brine is gonna help bring down the heat a little bit, but you know, you can try just blending those into other fermented things that you might find taste good as well.
I wonder if that would work well with a bag of kale.
It might spice it up for sure.
You had, well, I'm going to go off script a little bit more. What was your hottest pepper on the Kelvin scale? Or on the hot pepper scale?
The Scoville heat unit scale?
There we go. That's the word I couldn't think of.
So the hottest pepper that I have that is actually tested on the Scoville heat unit scale would be the Carolina Reaper.
Ooh, yes.
And that being said, you know, there's many peppers out there that, in my personal opinion and many other people's personal opinion, is much hotter than the Carolina Reaper. Just they haven't been officially tested yet.
So they haven't been cultivated in such a form to be tested.
No, they've been cultivated. It costs some money to get a Scoville